Right, let's have a quick look at some of these charts then live. If anybody wants to join, that's fine. If you're not, no big deal. But I might as well just be sitting here looking at these charts at this time while everything's pamping like mad. If anyone's bothered, you can come and join. Otherwise, do the live stream tonight. That's no big deal at all. Right, so right, XRP is lagging. Yes, you might say that it's been lagging, or you might say that it's developing a pretty awesome setup in its own self. Really, I like the look. I know that when you on a day like today, you look back at Bitcoin and go, "Wow, 12%." Yeah, 12% is awesome, obviously for Bitcoin. But you know, when we have good setups across the board for some of these other altcoins that we've had, like other than today, Bitcoin has been lagging. INJ, look, 20% up in the last 24 hours. Link. Obviously, huge rally. This is a good setup. BSV was a great setup as well. I keep talking about how the XRP setup is similar to the BSV setup. So it might be lagging as of today, but it's actually a pretty good chart in its own right. This daily is a huge consolidation, but we're above all the major moving averages, which basically lends itself to a continuation of this big, higher high, higher low structure, which makes me think that a higher high is likely. Certainly not impossible. It's actually quite likely. So back up to these ranges, 60, 82, 90, and then beyond. You think that it can't do it, but a lot of people thought that Bitcoin couldn't do what it's done today, but it can, and these things will happen. So I don't think it's lagging on the day. It's definitely, in my opinion, getting the power in. I've got a nice position on it at the moment, some nice longs going on it. Right, good morning, been trading. LQTY. Alright, fair play. Yo, live stream. Yeah, I thought I might as well on a day like today. Why not have a live stream? We do Patreons on Tuesdays and Fridays anyway in the evening, so if you're interested in doing these live streams more often, you can join it for £7.50 a month. It's completely up to you. We do 2 streams a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. Right, let's get stuck in it. I'm balls deep in Algo and FTM. Yeah, I said on the Telegram last night, like an unofficial call on Algorand, right, that I'm actually quite bullish on it, but I'm too scared to openly admit it because I've done that in the past and it's been devastating, right? Which is true. But long story short, for Algorand, there's 2 huge. One, here's the first one. Huge consolidation. Second consolidation is all part and parcel of the overall death cross that took place over here. Major resistance here, death cross retest, 200 exponential. That's sitting down here again at 13, which is definitely a target. As of right now, it's definitely a target. Second consolidation took place over here. We've broken out of the channel towards the end of the apex. You know, the chances of formation having continuation when it's this close to the apex end is quite unlikely. So what ended up happening is a move up to the top of the range, back down to the bottom of the range, and now I think we would be looking to see a move up towards wherever this 200 exponential exists at the time. So that might not be an amazing move in the short term. If we think about where we're at right now, it's a 35% move. It's definitely on the cards though. 35% is not to be complained about, is it though? I know this is crypto, everybody wants more, but that's as far as I'm concerned, that's a very realistic possibility. But last night I said it on the Telegram. I said, I don't want to call it officially, I don't want to jinx it, or I don't want to look like a complete fool, but Algorand does look like it wants to do something here. Even if it doesn't, I know people slag Algorand off. Well, I like it. I'm actually balls deep in it. It's one of the altcoins. There was 2 altcoins I bought when FTX destroyed the market. One was Algo, one was Chainlink. Those 2 altcoins, as far as I'm concerned, are decent projects with high degree of success, at least as a blockchain. Whether the price action reflects that, which it should, is different. Let's have a look at FTM then, shall we? It's usually a high mover, but I think on this last stream I did, it was looking pretty crap. So we'll have a look at that now, shall we? FTM 23. Okay, so it's done all right on the daily here. It's not too bad, actually. So that has been a nice 33% move, with a move possibly up to 25.66, maybe even 28.25. This is something that we're seeing all the time at the moment. So the money flow index is running from absolute lows to absolute highs. This is why I've been saying things like BSV is if it runs, it'll run hard, because the volume on these things are usually very low. So the green candles that you see on altcoins can be outstanding, because the order books are so thin that when decent volume, or even half decent volume, starts to flow into them, they actually do chaos moves. They just go massively up. But they also are quite likely to just fizzle out as well, because there's just not the money in crypto that there used to be to sustain price higher. So they are just trading tools at the moment. It's not, unless you're looking at things with high volume and usually very high order books, it's not likely to be able to sustain higher prices. Although this is peaky, it's certainly not massively peaky. And I think given the huge increase in Bitcoin's trading volume, 4 billion on Binance alone is massive. Back in the last bull market, 4 billion, I don't even remember even ever seeing 4 billion trading volume on, never mind on a day like today, which is just another day in crypto. Let's have a look on the short-term time frames then for Phantom. So, yeah, a lot of altcoins having this kind of setup, 4 hourly golden crosses. So it does look good, generally speaking. I'd probably wait to see at some point when moving averages catch up with price action. This is going to be across the board for all of these. There's your 200 exponential, hopefully moving around there. So if we just go up or wherever and then come back down and consolidate to it, that would be a golden cross retest worthy of an attempt at a V-shaped recovery. But it does look good. Everything looks good. And like I said on the video this morning, Ethereum does look good for 2,000, and we'll see how that runs. Mina pumped like crazy. There's been a lot of random pumps. Do you know what I noticed pumped as well? Is it on KuCoin? I think it is. Yeah, it is. This has been one of my pure shitcoin attempts of buying something with what should end up being decent tokenomics, and not maybe even use case, but definitely decent possibility of a moonshot. I didn't realise it. I did it in secret because I don't look at it. It did 100% pump. Back up to above my entry point. We're now sitting more or less at my entry point. So yeah, some of these things can run hard. But look, even with all those moves, the volume is still only 250,000. It's not much at all. And this is going to be the nature of it. So I'm not suggesting everybody go off and buy shitcoins. I have probably a little bit more disposable income than your average person, so to put $1,000 into something like this and sit around for 2 years to see if it works is not too much of a big deal. I don't like losing thousand quid, but yeah. The reason I always highlighted UFO as something that might work is that it's a gamified token. That sort of thing apparently is going to be cool later on down the line. But also the total supply is all the circulating supply. It's got actually quite a large community to it. So there was a lot of evidence for me to think that actually the market cap's tiny. The circulating supply is completely out there. It's all there. The total supply is fully out there. So there will be no more. And so now it's just a subject of money coming into the market. And there'll be no more dilution involved. So I thought it could be quite good. Anyway. I have a nice position on XRP at 50. Excellent. So fingers crossed the move plays out up to 90. Yeah, absolutely. I hope you got a stop loss in there, though. Just make sure you got a stop loss in there. It's not for me to say where, but if I were you with such a good entry point, probably put it in at break even. You don't want to lose money. But if we do lose everything, XRP would probably see support maybe just below 48, but it's completely up to you what you do with your futures position. Anything on the Bitcoin chart? No, Bitcoin dominance chart. Or saving that for the Patreon. Yeah, look, I don't mind. Look, not to undermine Patreons. I thought I might as well just do this stream now, just so people get a taste of it. If you want to be a Patreon, it's not like I'm going to do these live streams in the day very often. I just thought I'm probably going to be sat at my computer for a while. You guys can keep me company, but we'll have a look at that anyway. It's a long story short. The next major resistance on this one is going to be around 58% dominance, just short of that, around these levels here. 58% dominance would be the next major level. As far as moving averages are concerned, it's bust through the weekly, absolutely powered on through, and the monthly, again, it's early days on the monthly, but as far as we can see, burst on through over here as well. So 57.5% dominant. That's what we'd be looking for a move on that one. Right, what else have we got to have a look at? Jasmi. Well, go on then. Let's treat ourselves to a bit of Jasmi then, shall we? It's been sitting around these lower levels for a while. 7% up today. That's not bad. Unlike a lot of altcoins, it's not developed too much as far as... I know it looks like it as far as the price action, but trend, confirmation of trend, not really. It's been carried with the market. 6 million, so the volume's bigger than most. Daily's going to look pretty awful as well. Yeah, I don't have strong thoughts on this one. There's other altcoins that are obviously clearer. This is why I think people were vomiting into their laps when I was talking about Chainlink having a really good setup, because Chainlink's like a forgotten about coin, isn't it, really? People don't really think too much about it because it's been around for so long. People like to think about, crypto gains only really being relevant for things that have never pumped in the past, or things that are brand new with low market caps or whatever. But it's not the case for me. I like to trade, so I do need a little bit of time on the chart. And, sometimes the older the coin, the better, because you get the stronger setup. Might not yield a million X, but it definitely does well. I think with Jasmi, it's following the market, but as far as its own merit is concerned, we had a pump signal that was generated on the 4-hourly Itchy Cloud at 0.32 of a cent, or 0.348 of a cent now. Fair enough. We'll give it a chance to continue, but it's not strong. It's given the false impression of strength because it's moved more than others, but it's not like I've lost faith in it. I like Jasmi at the lower level, so I would buy it for the long haul, around 2.8. I don't know where it's going to go, long term. I'm particularly not a fan of down only charts. So, but it's I like to call things like Jasmi a lottery ticket type vibe, really. Any thoughts on pullback buys for Link going forward since it's now broken the long-term range? Yeah, well, I mean, without even looking at it, I would expect 940 to be the range. Sorry, the support, because that was the top of the range. We've been sitting in this accumulation for basically ever, and now we're outside of it. If there were to be a place to buy it from on a pullback, it's going to be around here. Moving averages haven't crossed above it yet, so the daily support on this is weak, but the 4-hourly has something to it. So we're talking like 340. Over the rest of the week, if we can sustain this higher price, then the daily moving averages will come back above the support and basically emphasize the fact that it should be getting stronger and stronger. But look, I wouldn't advise buying it anymore. It's done a really good move. We've had all this time, again, like I'm not trying to over exaggerate the value of the Patreon, but we probably look at this and have done twice a week since I made it clear that I bought into this, when it was between 5 and 6, and happy to hold it for the long term. I always try to explain that Link has been as generous as possible in allowing us to buy into a very long, drawn-out period of accumulation. And the longer the accumulation, normally the more significant the breakout. This will likely go on to make a new all-time high, probably a significant one as well. So I wouldn't advise buying it at this level, although you're still looking to make money over time. Personally, trading is different. But the trades I made on Chainlink last week, I closed over the weekend, and all I've got left is my hodl bag. And judging by the money flow index peaking, I say peaking, but it's very high. Let's face it, it's 91. It can obviously go higher. Let's have a look at the weekly. Weekly can go a lot higher. So there is, it'll be naive to think that this can't do a much bigger extended rally immediately. But personally, I think for me, this trade has been done. I hold a massive amount of Link. have done for over a year now. And the short-term trade aspect of this for me has been done really. Right, let's clear the board. Have a little look at some other stuff. I'm not going to be on this stream for too long really, but I thought I'd invite you all in to have a little look at what it is that a Patreon live stream's like. And look, like I say, I'm not trying to make out that the Patreon's amazing value for money, but this last week, we highlighted BSV, Chainlink, and INJ as epic setups, to which they have proven to be that. So it's not like that every week because I don't control the market, but when you sit around looking at charts like we're doing now, and like we do twice a week on the Patreon, then everybody brings their own charts to for me to look at, and we work it out bit by bit if something is okay or not. It gives you a much better, deeper insight into the market, because it's nice to learn trading. It's nice to have a handle on what's going on. It's also good to have a community that bring their own ideas to the table because, well, what was it? 2 heads is better than 1. 100 heads is better than 1. And generally, that's what the Patreon's all about. We all go off and do our own little bit of homework and bring it to the table and have a little look at what the hell's going on. And this week has been phenomenal, and Patreons will have hopefully made some serious cash from that. But it's certainly not a signals group. Right. HBAR XTC. Let's have a look at those things then, shall we? I'll look at this in a little while. So if XRP runs, HBAR normally runs with it. So lagging behind the rest, still not formed a golden cross on this 4-hourly. It's just like a lot of altcoins, kind of moving generally with the market. I'm not saying that it's not going to do anything, but it's not built the strength that you'd want to see. Major resistance sitting around 536. So, and obviously money flow index, like most altcoins, have run quite high in a short space of time because the volume's low across the board. MACD is crossing above the 0 point. Hasn't quite made that positive cross. Let's have a look at the weekly. Weekly's sitting at major resistance, which is your 21 exponential and Bollinger Band center. So yeah, a break from here probably takes us up another cent or so, but it's not a great strong setup there, unfortunately. What else have we got? XDC. Okay, let's have a look. So she exists on KuCoin, and the volume is 1 million. And just like they were looking at this on a weekly, but just like a previous chart, it's dancing with like a major resistance. This had a really big pump, so actually we might be looking at consolidation breakout. Based on the weekly, there is a trend that we could see. Whoa, what am I doing? A trend that we can see. Kind of makes the case that it's broken out from that on a weekly. So let's have a look at the daily to see if there's anything going on there. Okay, so yeah, the dailies are a great setup actually. Excellent setup. Do you know what this reminds me of? BSV. I'm not saying that that's what it's going to do, but it does. So what we've got here is big, massive move up. Thou giveth, thou taketh away. Consolidation into a golden cross retest, which is where we've more or less bounced from between a 200 simple and exponential. Found a resistance around here, no big deal. Whether we go sideways at this level now or break straight out is a different story. So we're sitting here with a possible move back down there to basically 8%, with a move back up to the top of the range of 85%. And that's obviously huge move to either side. But that's what we call risk to reward when you're dealing with shitcoins, isn't it, really? That's what you've got to deal with. I suppose Captain Hindsight should have looked at this chart and gone, right, okay, I'm waiting for this to consolidate back down to a 200 exponential or a simple. That's normally what you want to see. And the risk to reward would be much, much greater as you come down to this. This is similar to how XRP's moved, but again, not to keep talking about BSV. It's not like I'm a BSV maximalist or anything, but I'm just trying to show. I want to show you something. I'm sure you've seen it, but just want to show you something. So that's a daily, and this is also a daily, but the 4 hourly is what gave the similar setup, because it was a quick turnaround. So big move up. Imagine this didn't happen. So this is what we were looking at before. This is all we had to to look at. Thou giveth, thou taketh away. Golden cross, 200 simple and exponential. Reclaimed it, rallied from it. So that's what you'd be looking to receive from a setup like XDC. I'm not saying it's going to do it, but you apply the same analysis over each chart, and so far it's holding. So if we're going to do a V-shaped recovery, it would happen from here, which means a V-shaped recovery would take us back up to 9 and maybe beyond. So it's actually really good. It's just a shame that we're at the top of this portion of the chart, with a potential move down to 8% to even work out if it's valid or not. And the best place would have been to take the position at the support, but I was blissfully unaware of this chart, so don't blame me. Right, what else we got? I was going to ask about Jasmi on the Patreon live stream tonight. Apparently pretty much all the supply is circulating, so that's good. That's definitely good if that is the case. I haven't really looked at all of that, but if all the supply, and there's no chance of any more, and then maybe hopefully there's some speak of disposing of some of those. How many is there? Trillions of it? I don't know. There's a lot of Jasmi, but yeah, that's good. You want the total supply to be fully circulating, that's what you want. Minu's ranked 52 on coin market cap now. All right, so it's quite high market cap coin then. Can we have a look at GMX? Go on then. Let's have a look at that. High hopes of this one long term, but it did break down below areas on the chart that I thought it would. Yeah, so this one is living in wrecked city at the moment. This is a daily, 200 simple exponential all over here, major area of resistance, which hopefully we were hoping to have been support, and it wasn't. It actually wicked all the way down into the upper 20s. Big deal that there. Money flow index peaky, sitting around 87, but that's not by any means massively peaked. Freshly crossed above the 0 point here. If we have a decent 4 hourly on this one, there might be a good chance of continuation. Yeah, so we do. So the 4 hourly is good. Pump signal existed at 37.64. We're now 41.72. Golden cross bottom is 37.18. Is this bearish divergence? It is. So we do have bearish divergence already on the 4 hourly. Depending on where we go, we might complete a third drive as we approach the 44, which is roughly a major resistance. Like a lot of these altcoins, as much as we want to FOMO and jump in on a day like today, entry points for most altcoins were last week, and exit points more or less in the short term are kind of roughly around now, but that's not necessarily the end of the trend. The trend on the 4 hourly over here is only just beginning. And so, if I was to enter this, I'd be looking for maybe another move up, or maybe a breakdown. But I'd be looking to see if this 200 exponential appears as a support later on down the line. And if that's the case, that's what you'd want to see, and that's where I would believe that the trend will be extending its rally based on the 4 hourly. Most altcoins are going to look like that. If we don't have these sort of rainbow spreads, I like to call them, where the moving averages in the appropriate places, 200, 50, 20, 10, 7. If we don't have that sort of thing yet, then I would say, all right, this coin is just moving with the market. Most coins are just moving with the market, but GMX at least has a setup in waiting. But it's not I wouldn't call it an entry point. I'd call the entry point, you want to buy dips, don't you? You want to buy at supports. You don't want to just randomly buy stuff. But if you're holding GMX, then yeah, there's evidence that the trend is strengthening, and it won't be without pullbacks and stuff. A quick look at Feta and Astra as well. If you're not doing the stream later, I am doing the stream later. I just thought I'd do a free one now for everyone to come and have a look. And if they want to join the patrons, they can join the patrons if they like what they see. But like I say, it's an interesting day, or at least an interesting morning in crypto. I thought we might as well, you guys keep me company while we can look at some charts together, in case there's any little gems that appear, like what was it, XDC? That was a gem. That's a potential gem with 100% rally in it. Right, FET and Astra. Let's do those. Okay, she's rallying. Every time I look at FET, she always seems to be living at 25 cents, which is still pretty good considering where it came from. You know, first time I bought FET was at 5 cents. Right. Astra. Some KuCoin gems appearing, so we'll have a look at this one first. So the 4 hourly does have the golden cross, which is good. We're trending. We're sitting at support right now. We're up 1%, so it feels like it's lagging, but it's not. So this is this is a good example of what I'm hoping to see. Whoops, with a lot of these altcoins. So the way I was explaining golden crosses and strength of trend. So we move up, golden cross. Oh, we're going to the moon. Let's FOMO into this. No! Boink. There you go. Sitting on your 200 exponential. It's a classic setup and one worth waiting for. And if it doesn't play out, it's no big deal. I don't know the actual statistics, but I would imagine that it's roughly around 70% likelihood that it does work from there. We see it all the time on all markets. All markets do this, not just a crypto thing. So yeah, there you go. So there would have been an entry point sitting at 4. So now we're even sitting at 4.6, and a move up to 5. So that would have been a decent move just on its own. You know, I'll buy that dip. You know, the 25% within, basically within a 24-hour period. But we haven't currently made a new local high on this one, and the volume is weird. I mean, volume's weird on this one. Look at the money flow index. This is dangerous, especially when you're dealing with things that trade quite low, and this is obviously higher than most things on KuCoin, but still quite low in the grand scheme of things. You can be rinsed quite quickly if someone decides to sell. And there's support again, 4.45 of a cent was the Bollinger Band Center. It's a crooked uptrend, I have to say. Quite weak cross, but I would be looking at this as probably decent accumulation, and this is probably in hindsight the bottom. Let's take it to a weekly, which probably looks awful. I just want to see the bigger picture on this chart. Oh, that makes me feel sick looking at it. Does make me feel very ill. But that said, good things may come to those who wait. This might have a decent long-term scenario brewing. The MACD on the daily and on the weekly both suggesting long-term accumulation, so this one could be one of those ones that does run quite hard in the long term. The short term, taking it back to the 4 hourly, you want to make sure that these areas hold. If you lose 0.38 of a cent, then it's going back down, probably back down to 0.3 of a cent. It's a bit too risky at this point now. That would have been the place to hold it or buy it from. Potentially we come to a 200 simple moving average, which is just below 0.4 of a cent, and see where we go from there. But let's not underestimate the power of it. It did bounce 24% from a moving average of significance in a day. Right, what else have we got going on around here? FET. Okay, so just look, most of these altcoins look identical, don't they, on the chart? They look absolutely identical. So again, this is better than most. It's got its setup, got its pump signal, got its golden cross. You want to see a retest of that, which brings it currently just below 22 cents. What's the daily suggest? The daily's above all major moving averages, so again, the daily's quite good as well. Money flow index peaking, everything's peaking. This one could run a little higher. We're looking to 26.60, back up to that previous local high. Been such a long time since we've looked at this, I have to extend my previous supports and resistances. So we're already at a resistance based on horizontal time frame right now. Break through that, then yeah, probably pushing up to 30. There is no pump signal on this one until we get a green portion of the cloud generated over here, which its current rate probably wouldn't happen for a couple of days. You'd need all 4 components for that pump signal. So currently pushing resistance with a possible wick up to around 26 to 27. We're back into this range. It is a matter of range breaks. Up to 30, break 30, then 30 up to 50. Well, 55 actually. So it's a good start, definitely. The thing that concerns me about most altcoins at the moment is the size of the money flow index, which goes from the bottom to the top almost vertically. So normally that suggests it's going to end in tiers, but where the tiers start could either be here or even higher. It doesn't navigate the exact top. It's a risk barometer, if anything. Right, what else have we got then? Let's keep going. Still got a bit of a cold here, guys. Right. Morning. Can we speak about can you speak to metals outside of gold? So silver, copper. Okay, let's have a look. Have a look at some of these things then, shall we? XAU G. Go on then. Let's have a look over here. Whatever gold does, usually silver will follow. Look at that monthly. Look at that monthly. So we're looking at a massive move up and a big move down to a golden crossed retest on a monthly as well. Bodes well for a V-shaped recovery on the monthly, which actually, you know, and we're talking a monthly here, which means possibly sitting in this for years. A new all-time high, you know, over years, because this is a monthly that we're looking at. Daily. Let's have a look at this. What we've got going on over here. Not quite the same picture on the daily here, unfortunately. We've actually got quite the opposite. Major resistance exists around 23. 2 drives of hidden bearish divergence. All right, let's take it to a 4-hourly. Okay, a fresh golden cross. Right, so the long and the short of it would be the monthly looks great. The daily looks unfortunately quite risky, but the 4-hourly gives an entry point that sits between 22.57 to maybe around 22.68. Now it doesn't have to happen, but if it does happen, a bounce from there could actually start the uptrend in the short term, which would then break through the resistance on the daily, which is not too far from where we're at right now. If you start closing candle bodies above 23.30, we'll call it really 23.70 just to get nicely above there, then actually the daily could actually continue with an uptrend. At the moment, this is gold. We're basically looking at a weak and volatile gold chart. Copper futures. Let's have a look at that. So yeah, copper looks pretty poor on the daily as well. It does look pretty poor. I don't know as I believe what I'm seeing here on that. The 4-hourly giving us quite a lot of drives of bullish divergence, but it's still selling off quite harsh. That seems to be. Good God. I don't know what I've got, but I've had it for about 3 weeks now. Just staying at this random area of illness. Right. So the weekly is a really good, strong setup here for what could be an epic bid from a much lower zone, but an epic bid. And that would be standard pullback into these areas. So another drop towards about 5.5% on the weekly would be worth taking a shot on copper for what would be then a continuation of the massive uptrend, continuation all the way up to new highs. But in the short term and the long term, they have a bit of a contradictory fashion. I think the daily and the 4-hourly look like they want to keep going down, but I would get more excited as we approach this area down here. You know, 659, 656, sorry, 660. So it's not bad, definitely not bad, but a little bit more patience involved on that one. So we've done H bar already. Atom, go on then. Let's have a look at Atom, because that, if there is a lagger out there, Atom is certainly the lagger. I'm a big believer in Atom long term. I've bought quite a lot of this one, sitting away staking in Swissborg at the moment, which I'm happy with. You know, it's not all about trading. Sometimes the biggest gains come to those who just basically sit on a position through the thick and the thin. There's only a few altcoins that I do that with, but this has been one of the newer ones that I've been bullish on long term. Right, so Atom has cleared most of its moving average friends with a view to then move a little higher to 850, where a major resistance sits. Let me guess. It's actually weaker than the vast majority of alts that we've looked at so far. No golden cross or anything like that in sight. There was a pump signal generated at 688, which looks like it's playing at the moment on the 4-hourly. So because it's the 4-hourly, you probably only really target 756 to begin with on that pump signal. That is a resistance based on the 4-hourly setup. And if you break that, then you go more or less by another $1 to 852. Other than that, that's the setup that we've got now. So a little bit further to run on that one, but it's not the greatest of all setups. If we take it back to the higher term timeframes than just a formation trade, really, we had a nice big consolidation begin from all the way up here, 15. Resistance, resistance. We broke out, hit this resistance. We actually used that descending triangles resistance as support on the way down, and then crept down below it. It broke out towards the end of the apex, resulting in a fake out, and so now we've got a lot of areas to reclaim. But I think buy it while it's low, to be honest with you. This one will return to its former glory and beyond. It's just not very popular at the moment, thanks to the SEC. So short term does look like it wants to go up by another $1 or more, but other than that, just be careful about where else you want it to go to, really. Well, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. Carthensi. Let's have a look, shall we? I've never heard of it, so I imagine it might be a trading view thing. Yeah, it doesn't trade on too much, in fact. Let's have a look. Right. Okay. Wrecked City chart. Wrecked City FM. Right. Does this even trade? I mean, what's the volume on this? I don't like it. I can't talk to that. I don't want to give any false impressions of anything there. VRA, go on then. Let's treat ourselves to a bit of that then, shall we? VRA. So this one, I remember looking at this on the Patreon probably a few weeks ago before that massive big pump, and I wasn't particularly fond of the way it looked because it broke down below its major support, and it looked like it wanted to continue to go down. So I can't get it right every time. I got this one wrong. I do hold VRA, but I wouldn't have advised a position in it, but I was certainly wrong on that one because it rallied big time ever after that. So from its low to its high, close to 100% rally. So, like I say, you can't get it right. I don't own a crystal ball, so that's unfortunately I just can't get them to work. But the chart, as far as my understanding of this chart would have been too high risk, but it certainly freaking ran after that. So on the daily, we're above all major moving averages, actually working on golden crosses that have not yet been received. Also, no setup on the itchy cloud, believe it or not. The turning up of momentum is actually really good here. The Bollinger Bands have pinched, and we're already getting a rejection from that. But overall, it looks okay. I just find this thing to be very high risk, trading at decent volume, however. So this looks like a BSV type vibe. Big move up, they'll take it away. Rough support, not making death crosses, continuation. So actually, at this point now, we're seeing a temporary resistance that exists around those candle bodies. I'll just get rid of it. I don't want too many lines on the screen. We do have a setup on the itchy cloud here, which is a pump signal that's generated at 5.51 of a cent. And momentum is good. Looking like it should probably break and go up to its previous candle body high, which is 0.687 of a cent, rather than the major support that exists just above it. So it's definitely being traded, and it looks like it's being front run as well. So yeah, it's actually quite good, let's face it. It's a good chart. She's good. Right. XRP always moves before XTC. Yeah. Alright, I'm losing track on all the comments now. Don't know how much longer I'll do this stream for, to be honest. I'm getting a bit hungry now. But if you do like the stream and you want to do this more regularly, we do it twice a week on the Patreon. Right. I don't know what to say. Let's try it, shall we? Let's see what we can find on this thing. Is it a pure oh, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what that is, so we'll move around. Oh, is that a word from another language that I'm ignorant of? Probably is. Right. Right. EOS. And we've done algo. So let's have a look at EOS then, shall we? Can't believe we're doing this. Can't believe we're doing EOS. I suppose someone's got to, haven't they? Someone's got to do it. Right. Okay, so let's take it to a 4 hourly. What do we expect? Okay, so one of the weak ones, similar to Atom. This one has Itchy Cloud pump at 55, almost 56. So it's running, it's moving with the market. It's not too bad, it's not too good, it's not doing its own thing. It's basically lagging behind. Any kind of other setup that we can see here? Not really. Not really. I mean, EOS really did. It died, didn't it? Let's face it, it died. We might have to give it a bit more time on the 4 hourly to assume any kind of uptrend. A pullback and a buy back down at 55.6. Bollinger Band Center, Golden Cross retests. If it gets it on the 4 hourly, it's probably the best place you could look for. But the upside would be okay from there. So let's just say we managed to get a pullback to that level and you bounced up, first of all, to the 200 exponential. That's a 31, and the major resistance up here at 45. There is a potential trade brewing on EOS, but I wouldn't highlight it as something worth talking about, really. Again, you want to go for the charts which look better than Bitcoin. Otherwise, you might as well just trade Bitcoin. This is what I was trying to put across on the charts that I was individually showing last week on the channel anyway. Because there wasn't many of them, and this has always been the thing when we look at the Patreon. Most things just move in the shadows of Bitcoin, and then sometimes certain other things actually work out better. And it's not because they're random pumps like Twitter might want to talk about. They're trading setups, and we had a few of them last week, and we've not had many of them. Let's face it, for a long time. So Bitcoin has been the dominant chart, the better looking chart, the chart that wants to continue, and the one that if you're going to get a move, you get it from that, and then altcoins kind of move with it. But there were some good charts, and I still highlight right now that XRP is one of those charts. It's actually, to be fair with you, it's one of my favourite charts at this very moment in time, which it never normally goes down well unless you're already holding XRP. It never normally goes down well because people look at XRP as like a massive underperformer. But that might be the case long term, or at least in the last cycle. But it's certainly a good tradable chart. How do I feel about OP? Let's have a look. Right, OP. Okay, stronger than most. So we've obviously looked at this before. We had a... Oh, right, okay, cool. Right, so yeah, this is actually a good looking chart. So, long term. So we had a horizontal support that we've got brewing up, which did break and was actually resistance for a short period of time. So not perfect. It does kind of not render it obsolete, but does make it look a little more scary. The 4 hour is pushing on with a potential setup around here. You know what, if you got the chance, which I'm not saying that you would or anyone will, but if you were looking at this chart and this was the only chart that you were ever allowed to trade ever in the world, a setup exists back down here at 127. If you pull back into that level or thereabouts where this cross is about to take place, then that would be the entry, and that could be the next major bottom on this chart. If we zoom out, I'll take it to a 3-day or something like that, so we see a larger picture. What you see is a series of higher highs and higher lows since the beginning of time, really. And you'd be looking for this to actually rally onwards and upwards to make a new high over a long enough period, and that could be effectively the next major low. Or it could fail and die. So I'm not, I don't know. But yeah, there's definitely something there. But again, on a day like today, do never FOMO. What's done is done. Entry points for me don't exist today. Only really exit points, if anything, and then looking back, what should I say, looking forward over the next week or so to see if we get pullbacks into these major support zones. Right, you know what? I'm just going to leave it with you there. But like I say, if you do want to join the old Patreon, then there is links in the description below. I don't think I'll be doing these random live streams very often. It's just I thought I might as well as I was sitting here. But things look good. Bitcoin looks good for continuation, and altcoins may probably just rally on with it. Some of these altcoins stronger than others, as we've already seen. Some not so strong, just moving with the market. Setups will probably materialize throughout the week, and there'll be more money to be made. But whatever you do, don't FOMO. You know, entry points were pretty much all last week, and exit points for the short term are existing as we speak. If there is ever if I was to take anything away from any of these charts that we've looked at today, XDC was potentially a really good one, and you know me, XRP all the way. I'm not a massive XRP hodl. Well, I am, but I'm not saying it's going to be the best thing you've ever held in the world. What I try to put across is it's an old chart which respects moving averages and setups, and with that comes a high degree of success when you see a setup. If you see an altcoin that's only existed for 35 seconds, you don't have the time component that indicators require to make an appropriate decision when using them. You know, all indicators are based around price, volume, and time. So XRP is like 10 years old now. It does often play its own chart. You know, when you see a setup on XRP, it's worth recognizing it as a setup that should yield some kind of return. And I think we've got one at the moment. And I'll be looking for a big move on that one. Like I say, an XDC was a great chart, I think. And I'm glad that someone brought it to my attention here. But not an entry point right now, but certainly a chart worth taking note of. Right, I'm going to find a lemsip, and I'll see you on the Patreon if you want to join that. Links in the description below. Otherwise, I hope you have a nice day.